Hello, warriors. Welcome to the U movement. I am B. And this is kind of a part 2 to the video that I posted earlier today or yesterday, because we're now middle of the night. I was talking a good bit about suffering and the purpose of it. And I wanted to go a little bit more into that because as I've been sitting in my own suffering, I watched one of Craig Holliday's videos on root chakra consciousness and fear of death and fear of life. And it got me really thinking because he too was talking about Buddha's Four Noble Truths, the first of which being all is suffering, or life is suffering. And so I've been sitting in that for a while, because I know for me and for many of the other people that I've talked to that are on this awakening path, there's a feeling of, why am I here? What is the point of this life? It's been miserable. It's been one traumatic event after another one that's had just horrific experiences. And I understand that very thoroughly. I understand that life has not in any way, shape, or form been what I would call easy or joy-filled overall. And what I've come to realize in my ponderance is that for me, myself, I've never particularly had a fear of death. Death to me throughout my life has seemed like a preferable option. A fear of life, on the other hand, without a question, and that root chakra consciousness of feeling safe and secure in the world has been a challenge. It has been a challenge. And I think part of that is because I had a misinterpretation of what life was supposed to be like. I would see other people that seemed to have things going relatively easy for them, that would fall into decent looking relationships and have happy family pictures and all this idealistic life, opportunity would fall, and all kinds of opportunities would result in great successes. And I felt like I was running as fast as I could with 101 things tripping me up and never getting there. It was just one bout of a disastrous experience after another. And while I joke with my friends that I think those of us that resonate with the terms indigo child, starseed, light worker, empath, even the chosen, is a term I've heard referred out there, and would understand. I joke that we must have all been really drunk on cosmic mead when we volunteered for this mission to come down and clear all this karma and break cycles and experience the depths of hell that we have experienced in our lives. We were up there laughing and giddy saying, sure, we'll go down and assist humanity with this awakening. And now that we're here in these physical bodies and feeling the gravity on us physically and metaphorically, it's been torturous at times for a lot of us. And if we resist, there's that saying, what you resist persists. If we resist what life is and don't accept it, that life is in fact suffering. If the Four Noble Truths, number one being life is suffering, but yet we don't accept that life is suffering, then we create even more suffering, because we're saying that life should be something different than it is. And what it is in fact suffering. And that even gets further distorted in health and wellness communities and spiritual communities that are like, you should be in your positive vibes, lift yourself up out of these things. You shouldn't be. So there's this element of you're doing something wrong if you're depressed, or you're doing something wrong if you're experiencing misery, or there's even the pathologization of those sensations. So if we're saying that life is suffering, and then we're saying that I shouldn't be suffering, it's the same as saying I shouldn't be living. And if we are here to experience the fullness of the human experience, and we go back to the fundamental truth that the human experience incorporates a large majority of suffering, then we're not really fully experiencing the human experience if we are always trying to push the suffering away and block it with a whole bunch of walls through addictions, distractions, distortions, denials, and all the rest, because we're in this delusion that life should be good all of the time. Or even part of the time would be nice. But then along this comes this awakening, and it forces you to deal with all of the things that you've been resisting. So I kind of am looking at it in the present moment in time as in, if you went on a holiday to Mexico, happens to be my favorite place on earth. If you went on a holiday to Mexico and you never left the gated resort, then really, are you going to Mexico? Are you experiencing Mexico? You're not. Really, not until you go into the communities and into the villages and into the, jungle, climb Chichen Itza. You want suffering. Nothing like climbing a pyramid in the middle of a jungle. That's a good bit of suffering, but it's also a good bit of experiencing. And so, I'm kind of altering my view in the present moment in time in a new level of acceptance of the suffering, acceptance that I feel miserable right now. And I know a lot of other people are in very depressed energies currently and facing really dark fears currently. And, there's a lot going on. But what if that's the point? The point of it all on this crazy awakening, which is also has distorted, there's so many distortions in how we view things. Like a spiritual awakening, we think is like going to bring us to nirvana, and not see what the actual the path is through hell. It's through suffering. It's the experiencing of the dark walk through hell. And that's how I've looked at most of my awakening, has been like a steady journey through the pits of hell, dealing with all kinds of internal shadows and internal energies, as well as just so much, fuckery from the outside that I suppose, is all orchestrated for my awakening, so I can experience the depths of suffering, the depths of misery, the depths of depression, the depths. So instead of going to Mexico and just staying within, I'm doing deep dive and investigating, So I want people to look at it a little bit like on this awakening path, this journey that you're on, you're going to have to stop in certain places. So let's say we stop at an island, and that island's called depression. We may want to sit at the beach of this island and stare out, waiting for a boat to come by and save us as quickly as possible. But we'll soon realize that we're not going to survive if we do that. We need to investigate. We need to explore to find fresh water and shelter and all the things that we need to survive. So we pick ourselves up and we start wandering through the landscape of the island known as depression and investigate it thoroughly and investigate it fully, so that when we do finally get off the island, we can say, oh, I knew that island really well. Yeah, I knew where the best fruits were. I knew where the water was the freshest. I knew where to dig for clams. I'm familiar. I am very familiar with depression. And the same can be said for any other emotions that we experience along this awakening path. And so it's like looking at suffering from the perspective of the archetype of the explorer, as opposed to the victim that just is desperately wanting to be saved. And my whole life, I would have been in the victim, because anytime I was in suffering, I was... it was too much. It was just too much. So I would seek out antidepressants, or I would seek out, alcohol, or I would seek out outside of myself ways to not explore, not to sit down and figure out what this island of depression is really all about. And society as a whole kind of doesn't want you to do that, but that is the path to enlightenment. So when you think of society saying, you shouldn't feel that way, or in my family growing up, I can remember always being told, don't wallow in it. So here I'd get punished severely, and I'd be, I would have experienced physical, psychological, emotional abuses, and then I was told, don't wallow in it. So you're not allowed to actually feel your reactions to these situations. So you, as per the video I did today, you shove it out, and I'm not going to deal with that. I can't wallow it. I have to pretend I'm happy. I have to be okay. Or, even when people come up to you on the street, how are you doing? Nobody wants to hear you respond, I'm miserable. But what if that's the truth? We create this ideal that everything is supposed to be happy and everything's supposed to be wonderful all the time. And that's not a spiritual awakening. It's the polar opposite of that. It's being completely overtaken by depression. It's being completely overtaken by fear. It's being completely overtaken by panic and anguish and sorrow, and just as they all get expressed out of you. So what if that's the actual mission? The actual mission is to fully explore the suffering. That is what living is. And when we're avoiding the suffering, we're avoiding living. Living isn't just happy moments. Living is fully experience the misery. So it was interesting. I just kept saying to myself over and over again, okay, I am currently feeling miserable. I am currently feeling miserable. I'm allowing myself to feel fully miserable. I'm not judging myself for being, although the ego mind tried, for feeling fully miserable. In this moment, I am fully miserable. And I carried on doing things that my body needed. My body got hungry. And as I'm eating, I was eating some figs. And I'm like, wow, these figs are actually really tasty. And it was like, in my misery, I am enjoying these figs. So there is an element of something beautiful within the misery. So I wanted to come on and suggest to all of you out there that whatever misery you might be experiencing, to fully experience it, fully allow yourself as an explorer, and say, you know, right now I'm exploring this feeling, this depression, this despondency, whatever it is that you're experiencing, without judging it to be something that we need to be afraid of. So I'm not going to be afraid of my misery, and I'm not going to deny it, and I'm not going to feel like I'm failing because I'm experiencing it. I've been judged by others for sharing the depths of my truth. And I understand they don't understand why I'm doing it, because that's not the norm. The norm is to pretend life is not suffering, instead of understanding that life is suffering. And yes, it may feel like we're on a really bad escape room with no exit. And at times it's like, this is just too much. It's a never ending cycle of sufferings at times. And if you're on this, a Kundalini awakening, it's difficult. I want to validate, I think, more than anything, as somebody who's been not validated and gaslit my whole life. I really want to come on and validate that it's okay for you to be in suffering. That is normal on a Kundalini awakening. It's okay for you to be experiencing, pain and agony. Those are normal parts of this process. And if you're on a twin flame journey, like, it's okay to be miserable, because it's a miserable thing. Like, I don't know why anyone, honest to God, don't know why anyone would ever ask to be on a twin flame journey or have a Kundalini awakening. I don't. I honest to God, I see people go, how do I activate my Kundalini? And the first thing that pops into my head is, don't do it. Run for your life. Enjoy that delusion for as long as you can savor it, because what you're actually asking for is cold, hard reality, that life is suffering, and all of the ways that you pushed suffering away come back and haunt you. Like, why anyone is looking for a twin flame journey is beyond my mind as well. It is without question the hardest thing ever. It's crazy making, it's nonsensical, it's frustrating, it's emotional. You get this heart activation, and you feel a love that you've never felt in your entire life before, and then that person goes away. And despite people saying, well, just get over it, your heart doesn't seem to understand those words, and you're like, okay, I got to just learn to live with this constant flow, and then energy just comes out of nowhere and takes you down, and you're like, oh, I'm in another round of heart activations and experiencing things that, like, defy any logic. There's like zero logic. So the egoic mind is going absolutely ape. It's like, this is ridiculous. These are all the justifiable reasons why, you need to like stop feeling the way that you're feeling. And you're like, I'd love to. Where's the off switch? There is none. It's absolutely like this whole awakening is insanity. It's insanity. And it's like, yeah, it's just insane. This whole process is difficult beyond anything I would have ever fathomed. I would never in a million years go recommend somebody go find their twin and have an heart activation or have a Kundalini and start down this path. I wouldn't do it. But at the same time, I would. Because on the one hand, it's without question the worst experience of my life, but it's also the most beneficial. So it's like medicinal on steroids, because I'm healthier. I'm free of abuse. I'm a completely different person. I love myself. What I've gotten out of the journey, it has been miraculous, without question. The shifts and the changes. But those miracles were born out of the suffering. It's like within each suffering, within each island of suffering you land on, somewhere on there is a gift. And so that's why we need to explore it thoroughly, is in the island of depression. You're going to find a gift, and that can be a gift of skill, or a gift of awareness, or a gift of higher consciousness, an upgrade. And then you move into the island of rage, and within the islands of rage, you'll find a gift. So today, let's explore. Let's accept and explore. I accept. In this moment, I feel miserable, and I'm going to explore so thoroughly the misery that I'm going to discover the gold that is hidden within. And I invite you to do the same. I invite you to wallow in it. I invite you to not put yourself down for it. I invite you to fully accept it, radically accept whatever distasteful emotion that you are in, and accept that this is life. This is life. What you are experiencing is living life fully. Living life is not only happy moments. Living life is feeling the depths of despair and the degrees of every single emotion. That is life. That is life. And I guess today I'm learning to accept what life is, and not try to form it into what my mind thinks life should be, an Instagram version of life, full of filters and falsities. Instead, I'm going to accept that life is this. And for today, that means feeling physical pain. For today, that means feeling grief. For today, that means, feeling just generally like this sucks. And I'm going to let myself feel like that. I'm going to totally and completely let myself feel like life sucks today. And if it sucks again tomorrow, then I've still got more exploring to do in the sucky vibe. And I'm going to be an expert at suck. I'm going to be an expert at depression. I'm going to be an expert and do it to the nth degree. It's like God declared, I want you to go down and I want you to experience all of these emotions, every single one of them. And we're saying to God or Spirit, no, thanks. I don't want to experience all of them. I only want to experience this one over here. And that's not the job. That's not the mission. The mission is come down and experience them all thoroughly, fully, completely, to the best of your ability. Do the best depressed you can do, do the best despair that you can do. I'm going to be so in despair today. Oh my God, I'm going to be just so in despair. I'm going to be so in anguish. I'm going to anguish myself until I've squeezed every last drop of anguish out of me. I'm going to cry the tears I'm going to be so dramatic. Be the most dramatic you can be in any of these emotions, so that we squeeze it out of ourselves, we express it out, and then we've done it. And then we can move into the next set of islands. And I don't know, maybe those islands will be, maybe they'll have figs on those islands, that we can enjoy figs while we're enjoying our suffering. So yes, living life to the fullest means accepting suffering. And I hope this video helps, because it seems to have helped me take the pressure off that I should be anything other than what I am. And if people don't like the fact that I'm embracing my current state of misery, then I don't know, whatever. You live your life your way. I'm going to live my life my way, the way that, and that means to feel it fully and experience it fully. Because hopefully once I feel all the feels and experience all the feels, I'll get to ascend on out and go home to the heavens at some stage. Yeah, I don't have my ticket to leave yet. But I have to go through the islands to get to the ticket. I hope that makes sense. I'm losing it today. That's okay. A little bit discombobulated. I guess maybe that's the next islands I'm going to. Islands of discombobulation. Peace out.